Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of F122, my team career mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we're going into the Hungarian GP where I think this is an opportunity for us to hopefully have a strong run today. But we start things out actually with a big announcement here coming into Season 2 already. And that is that Red Bull and Porsche have actually announced this week a merging effort that will result in a strong collaboration between the two brands. Red Bull will be rebranded to Red Bull Porsche Racing as Red Bull Power Cars will now switch to Porsche Power starting next season. Very, very exciting things. And as well, I have a question for you guys for Season 2. Do we want to change the engine sounds of this game? We have the possibility, F1 is exploring, to switch to V8 engines going into next season. And I'm going to put a straw poll up. But basically, if we run V8 engines, it is going to sound just like this. So then, let me know. There's going to be a straw poll link right at the top of the description where I want you guys to vote on, do we run that V8 engine right there next season for all the cars with different actually sounding engines for every engine manufacturer supplier, or do we want to stick to the current engine sounds that we have? I'm going to let you guys dictate where we go with the engine regulations for this next season here in Season 2, but you see it right there with Porsche is going to now be powering Red Bull, so they come together. It's going to be Red Bull Porsche Racing, but also AlphaTauri will be under Porsche's wings as well, so it will be AlphaTauri Porsche, but as well Trackhouse. You guys know we are powered by Red Bull powertrains here with Trackhouse, so we likely will be powered as well by Porsche going into next season, but not a guarantee. We are exploring options because Trackhouse, Justin Marks, our team owner, it's an American team. They are actually exploring a potential Chevrolet collaboration here coming into Formula 1 next season. So we'll have to wait and see, and we'll stay tuned and keep you guys updated, I will, on what's kind of developing behind the scenes for Season 2 now. But we come through into practice here, and I was really struggling with my race strategy stuff, and actually you could see me cranking down the tire pressures quite significantly here, and actually turning down the tire temperatures fixed all my problems here. I was able to keep them at a decent temperature and be able to run consistent quick laps here. So we found what I needed here in practice, and overall I was feeling really, really good in this Trackhouse car so far, so knock on wood. But I'm hopeful that we have a good weekend on the way for us here in Hungary. We come through into qualifying here, and I was excited for this one. I obviously, don't expect this car to be able to do much, but this is actually the last episode before the summer break going into Spa, so excited for that because that summer break is an opportunity for us to be able to make some gains here in the R&D, or we might actually fall behind. Hopefully it's the first option though, but we'll have to wait and see now as we come through into Q1 here, trying to put up the best laps that we can here. It's always the first lap's never great for me, and that second lap is always the improved one. So the first lap though, it wasn't too bad. I was really into a nice rhythm here in the Hungaroring. This is a track that I've never really been a fan of throughout my life here as a Formula 1 fan, but I was really gelling with it for I think the first time ever here on the F122, and we put up a decent lap here as my first attempt. We were currently P15, so we come through to make a second attempt here because I knew that P15 wasn't going to stand here by the time we get to the end of this session. So it was all about just finding as much time as we could here on this second and final lap that we're putting down here, and I actually gave up a little bit of time right there on the exit of the left-hander, but we are about a tenth up, and then as we came through in towards Sector 2 in the last half of Sector 2, we found about a tenth and a half, and then it increased to about 0.2 of a second, so making small little gains, not huge gains. Not sure if it's going to be enough, but we'll wait and see as we came through and towards this final sector. Actually gave up a little bit more time, unfortunately, so we were trying to get back to that 0.2, and we got to that 0.2 better through the final corner. Where is this going to line us up here now? Out of the final turn, we got the power down really well. It's going to be 2.5 better. We crossed the line briefly going P13. As you can imagine, that obviously does not last here, and we would actually, unfortunately, once again be eliminated here in Q1. But the question is, okay, where are we though? And I was a little bit further down the order than I anticipated. Piastri beats us by less than a tenth, but we will start P20 on the grid here for the Hungarian GP. So could have been a little bit better, and actually Zhou Guanyu with a horrific lap there, going to be in dead last, and Latifi behind us. Let's head to the grid for the Hungarian Grand Prix.
It's race day in Budapest as we get ready for another round of Formula 1 action. We're not expecting too many retirements at this circuit. There are plenty of current and former drivers with flawless finish rates here. in particular Ralf Schumacher, who made it across the line in all 10 of his Hungarian Grand Prix starts. The Hungaroring, it's like Monaco without the boats, although the boats today could come in very handy. 14 corners, 6 to the left and 8 to the right, and some very tricky corners to deal with. These rainy conditions out there aren't going to help either, so it's very likely we'll see a safety car or two during today's race. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Sainz, Sergio Perez, and Norris. Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Mick Schumacher, and Daniel Ricciardo. Gasly, Vettel, and Sir Lewis Hamilton. And Stroll. Albon, Bottas, they've taken a grid penalty. Oscar Piastri and Guan Yu Zhou. Magnussen, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Tsunoda, Golden Boy, they've taken a grid penalty. And Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Natalie Pinkham, good to have you with us here today. Your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? As a driver, there are 3 big things to worry about when racing in these conditions: standing water, tyre temperature, and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
We're ready to grid up here in Hungary, and it's unfortunately a very, very wet circuit. And in Austria, when it rained for a little bit, I was way off the pace. In France, when it was, wet tire conditions, I was way off the pace. So as you can imagine, I was pretty concerned for the start of this GP, given our past history of the last 2 episodes dealing with track conditions for the first time in our F1 22 career mode. So the concerns were high. I was scared I was going to, simply have 0 pace in this car. And it is going to dry up, so we will get to a dry compound tire as long as our car doesn't break down like last episode after a heartbreaking episode in France. This is going to be 5 red lights, and Max Verstappen will lead the way alongside Charles Leclerc as they head down into turn 1, or Leclerc, I should clarify, on pole position here. Lots of spray kicking up from these cars, but Verstappen might get the lead down into turn 1. Carlos Sainz, a very defensive line there from the Spaniard there into turn 1, and Russell's trying to go around the outside of him. Verstappen oversteer on the exit of the corner. That's going to open the door wide open for Leclerc to take the lead of this GP after about losing it in turn 1. So he's going to lead the way. As you see, Russell still side by side with Carlos Sainz in the background. You got Perez as well as the McLaren, but here we go. They're going to actually continue side by side. It looks like you're wheel to wheel up into a corner where you do not want to be side by side, and they are fortunately going to get it settled out here. But you can actually see another McLaren and a Haas going wheel to wheel right there. And now we come into this right-hander. Very treacherous corner this is in the dry. You're going through there so quick, and if you just clip that little curb there on the right side, the odds are 9 times out of 10 you're going for a spin, unless you get very lucky to actually be able to save that there. But it looks like that was Daniel Ricciardo that moves ahead of the Haas. A lot of side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel action here so far in these opening moments of this GP. You see Lewis Hamilton with some work to do. He got a grid penalty. Zhou Guanyu actually was able to go from last, and he's gained like 5 spots already. So a fantastic start that is for the Chinese driver of Zhou Guanyu. As you see on board with Max Verstappen, already losing a chunk of time to Leclerc, and there's not going to be any DRS for any time near this first lap, because it's going to be wet for quite some time here in the Hungarian GP. And we are going to move over to the inters at some point, but it's supposed to dry up around the halfway point of this GP from the weather forecast. Now, we do run approximate weather forecasting, so it's not going to be completely accurate, but it should be fairly accurate, because we know it's not completely accurate because it rained in Austria when there was never even a drop of rain in the forecast here. Now, as at the end of this first lap, we are P21 in front of K-Mag. It wasn't a great start for Magnussen in the Haas, as well as we're behind our teammate of Piastri still here as we head down into turn 1. Just settling in here and hoping that I'm going to have a competitive pace, of course, in this wet track conditions, and I was already feeling better than I did in the last episode in France, so that is certainly a positive there. Yellow flags, and we nearly run into the back of Piastri. It looks like Zhou Guanyu. Yes, it was. Zhou Guanyu has gone around. I make a big save, but lose the spot to Magnussen, and we go on board with Zhou Guanyu right here, and he's just going to simply just put the power down a little bit too hard and go for a simple, harmless spin right there that nearly resulted in my front wing being taken off of the rear of Piastri, my teammate's car. Fortunately, we were able to avoid him, although it was very, very close here now. So a bit of chaos here on the second lap, and you expect that here in the pouring conditions in Hungary. It's a difficult track to drive, and when it's pouring rain, well, it's even more difficult to drive there. Speaking of difficult to drive, a massive save and still slipping and sliding. Zhou Guanyu is able to get back past, and what a save that was right there. Maybe the biggest save of my rookie season so far. We would continue to go in the right direction after just a very, very scary moment for myself here, but we gave up a bunch of time because of that save. So here I am trying to rally my way back, and what was boosting my confidence was we were not losing time to the cars ahead in the wet conditions. I was actually either being able to remain even, or I was actually as well starting to gain some time here now as we come through to this fourth lap of the GP, and you can see it's about 1.9 seconds now to 1.8 between myself and Zhou. You can see that we're definitely dealing with some oversteer. I'm a little bit throttle happy here at some points, but we were closing the gap. It was down to 1.3 seconds here as we came through to lap 5. So finally getting comfortable in the rain and putting down decent and consistent lap times here, and I think it certainly helped that I was just overall this weekend really gelling with this circuit more than I think I have with any other circuit so far in this game, which was not expected whatsoever when I said coming into this episode. Not a circuit that I have been a fan of here in the Hungaroring, so I was very happy with how I was able to suddenly gel with it. Now as they were wheel to wheel up there in front of us, that was Piastri side by side with K-Mag, and Magnussen would fade in behind Piastri after taking a lunge at him, trying to take the position. Couldn't quite happen there. Yellow flags up ahead of us here now, and as actually you see Tsunoda stopped Latifi on the right side of the track. Did they make contact there? We just stole a bunch of positions. Right place, right time. Here's what happened. Latifi is actually going to go for a spin right there, and actually Tsunoda doesn't hit him whatsoever. He just stops on the circuit, and I was able to just cruise by on the right side. Like I said, right place, right time there. I was able to come up on it and have enough time to react to what was happening, and on board right here actually with Latifi. He just goes for a simple spin. Now as this was happening, a bunch of cars were actually flooding into the pits here to put on the intermediate compound tires. So the rain had been letting up a little bit over the last couple of laps. They're putting on the inters. What I really like about the wet conditions in this game is the transitional periods are so much better. You don't have to immediately jump onto an inter from a wet. You don't have to immediately jump onto the dry tire as soon as possible from the intermediate. You can stay out an extra lap or two, and you're not going to give up as much time this season by not going onto a more dry compound compared to what's currently on your car. So we don't have to transition to the medium compound tire when it dries up as quickly as we used to, where if you stayed out one lap too long before, it was death for you. But now it's actually something bearable, especially when the medium compound tires are, I assume any dry compound tire that you put on your car is going to be very cold when you exit the pit lane when the track is still damp. So that kind of helps it out so much better. The transitional periods in this game, long story short, are so much better here. But here I am at the conclusion of lap 9, actually coming in to put on the intermediate compound tire as our teammate of Oscar Piastri is already coming to the pit lane. He actually came into the pits, I think, the same lap that Latifi had his spin there. So a very, very smooth and quick stop actually from our team right there. And this is hopefully going to get us out in front of Piastri. Here comes Oscar, and actually no, we're going to come out just behind him there. So we run P19, Magnussen behind us, and Magnussen was ahead of us earlier, but obviously we were able to pass him and Piastri and all of them there with that accident. But you can see that it still does make a difference if you come in a little bit later there. Piastri was able to get in front of us, but if this was last game, he would be like a whole straightaway ahead of us here in this situation. So as I was now coming through to lap 10, trying to close in on Piastri, but I was under a lot of pressure from the Haas of K-Mag here. He was obviously in a faster car. The Haas is actually a top 5 or so car on the R&D, and here he is on lap 11 on the front straightaway. I wasn't using up my battery because I knew how much speed K-Mag had, so I actually let him have the spot here in the turn when I didn't feel like defending him much longer here. I just felt like I was draining my battery every time, so I decided decided to save my battery instead. Actually, I had full battery here on lap 11. Yellow flags, though, on the front straightaway. It's Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari who's having a mechanical failure. He's going to pull to the left side of the track, and he's going to be out of the Hungarian GP. No virtual or physical safety car here, so we continue under racing conditions. And by the time we were coming up to lap 12, lap 13, now I'm under pressure from both Yuki Tsunoda as well as Zhou Guanyu. Once again, Magnussen sends one up the inside of Piastri there in front of us, trying to move up into the 16th position. You know, at least we're having a decent fight with some drivers around us here. Although it's 16th on down, it's still fun to be able to scrap it out with these guys. But Tsunoda was able to get past us without too much issue here. And Zhou Guanyu, I was expecting to do the same because the Alfa Romeo is much faster than our Trackhouse car as well here. Daniel Ricciardo, you saw right there on lap 13, lost a little bit of grip. Or sorry, that was Lando Norris, because Ricciardo's the one sending it up the inside of Norris here. And Lewis Hamilton has a great viewpoint here of this little tussle between the two McLaren drivers, Ricciardo and Norris, wheel to wheel. But it looks like Ricciardo takes a position, but it wasn't over. Front straightaway, here comes Lewis Hamilton alongside Lando Norris here, now down towards turn 1 at lap 14. And Norris, he's going to lunge one up the inside of the Australian of Ricciardo, and actually he's going to pass him. So a great commanding pass right there from Lando Norris, but I don't think it's over. Here comes Ricciardo again. He's going to lunge back up the inside of Norris, and he locked up. There was contact. Through goes Hamilton again on the inside, and Lewis is going to move up into the 6th position as Norris holds on to 7th. Ricciardo drops down to 8th. A simple wheel-to-wheel tussle between the two McLaren teammates turns into both of them giving up spots to Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes, and Mick Schumacher nearly able to make a bold move there up the inside of Ricciardo. And then actually the battle would continue into turn 1 a lap later. Here's Ricciardo again up the inside of Norris, who looked like he kind of missed his braking zone actually. Norris on the inside, Ricciardo trying to go the long way around here out of the left-hander, and who's going to come out of here on top of this one? Now, they tried it before. Lewis Hamilton was able to get past them both. Now Schumacher's ready to pounce on an opportunity if that opportunity does arise here. Now as we head into this left-hander, don't want to be side by side through there, but they continue. Lando Norris though gives up the spot, and he would fade in behind Ricciardo. No, he won't, because here comes Schumacher actually up the inside, and he might steal the position. So these McLaren's teammates battling each other is really hurting each other here on time, and it looks like I think Schumacher might get the spot here. Yes, he is, because Norris just not able to get the power down like he is, and Ricciardo gets 7th. Norris drops to 9th behind Mick Schumacher in that 8th position now. As we were continuing to watch a lot of drama happen around the track, Bottas with a big lockup here, and that would let a couple cars go by him, and then Gasly would actually have a lockup in the same exact corner that Bottas did. So then there goes through Bottas once again here. There's some really interesting racing going on throughout this whole circuit. But to lap 18, it's still raining, not much. DRS has been enabled by the stewards here, which is a bit surprising. It was certainly wet on the circuit still, but it was drying quick. The circuits, the transitional periods, we talked about it earlier, the tracks still dry up quickly, but like I said, there's a little bit more leeway in when you put on the dry compound tire here. So lap 18, I was actually coming through this final turn here, and then I see behind us Nicholas Latifi's coming in to put on probably the medium compound tire, and then Mark gives me a strategy to change. If only he could have gave me that a few moments earlier, but I think it's actually okay, because we come through to a lap later. Here comes the Leclerc as well as Max Verstappen. They're going to put on the medium compound tire, and by the time Verstappen comes in, the pit crew in front of him for Ferrari is already heading back into the paddock there. So you can see everybody that now was pretty much flooding into the pits. But unfortunately, my teammate at Piastri was so close to me that if we tried the double stack here, we were going to lose so much time. So I decided to go and run an extra lap, and this is where I was thankful for the transitional period to be a lot more, like I said, kind of forgiving and easier to get away with by doing an extra lap on the intermediates. So see what I'm talking about here. We're actually going to go around the outside of the McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo and then turn on the DRS, and he's on the medium compound tire, but his tire is cold, so it's taking about a whole lap, just about 3/4 of a lap for that tire to warm up. So I was actually able to comfortably stay ahead of Ricciardo all the way till I came into the pit lane here at the conclusion of the lap. Now Russell in front of me actually did pull away quite a ways, so we're going to come in though and hit that pit limiter. Please do not speed. I'm always afraid I'm going to get a speeding penalty at some point here in this F122 career mode. That would be pretty embarrassing. I have a history of speeding penalties in other racing games, especially NASCAR as well. But we're coming in for the medium compound tire. Yellow flags actually down into turn 1. The safety car is going to come out as we're coming in for the medium compound tire, and it's actually an Aston Martin of Vettel and Valtteri Bottas who have crashed right there. The safety car turned on the Delta, so the cars behind us had to slow down. I was able to come out in front of all of them, so we're able to P17. I mean, perfect timing for the safety car. Let's see what happened, though. It's actually Bottas side by side with the McLaren. Stroll's exiting the pit lane, and they were 3 wide, and Bottas runs into him. Vettel has nowhere to go as Bottas comes sliding across the track, and what a moment right there as once again you look on board side by side with Norris, and then just boom into the back of Stroll, and then the car is just going all over the place, and I think Vettel had a difficult time judging where Bottas' Alfa Romeo was going to end up as he arrived on the scene, and you see him try to move to the right, and then he kind of hesitates, and well, into the side of the Alfa Romeo he goes. It took us a few laps to actually run up to the safety car queue, but as soon as we got to the back end of the queue, they actually said we were going green this lap here, so it was perfect case scenario. Everybody got here at the perfect time to where we could go at the conclusion of this lap. Charles Leclerc, you know, made a statement last episode after a couple of rough races that he is still the championship favorite by winning in the Paul Ricard circuit, so in the French GP, and here he is leading the way back. Green flag conditions we are here in the Hungarian GP, and a dominant effort so far from Leclerc. Was not a great drive off the final turn for myself. Here comes Piastri up the inside, down into turn 1. We're going to give up the spot already. A huge lockup from Piastri. He runs into the back of Magnussen and shatters his front wing. I nearly run into the back of Piastri. Debris flying here. We gave up the spot to Tsunoda, of course, running wide as well. As we head down into the left-hander, Tsunoda, he's going to have a lockup now. So now here I come up the inside. Contact actually with Tsunoda. That was all me right there. I just pushed wide, but fortunately, surprisingly, it didn't result in a warning, and Piastri locks up into the chicane the same lap. No front wing, so I can imagine the handling is not very good on that car. We move up into P15, and suddenly Oscar's race here has completely fallen apart, unfortunately, now, as there was more battles going on up in front of us. Ocon and Hamilton going at it. Ocon locks up. He goes wide. There goes Hamilton again to take now 4th position here on this opening lap of green flag conditions again, and you can see Ocon and Alonso side by side. The 2-time Formula 1 world champion trying to take Ocon to school here at the same track that Ocon won at in real life last season, so one career win on Ocon's name, but Alonso takes that 5th position. Alpine have been very strong lately in this F1 My Team career mode, but here goes Ocon again up the inside. Lando Norris ready to pounce if something happens between the two teammates here, side by side, wheel to wheel, dead even on the exit of turn 1, but it looks like it's going to be Alonso who's going to get clear, but hold on, here comes Ocon again up the inside here. They are not done battling by any means. I love the AI in this game. They really like to get the elbows out, scrap it out. Sometimes it's certainly overboard, but it's moments like this that are just fantastic to watch the AI go at it here. They continue side by side. You don't go side by side into there. Oh my goodness, and it's going to be Ocon who holds on to the 5th position after that battle with his teammate Fernando Alonso. Absolutely beautiful scrap right there to watch here. Unfortunately, I'm struggling a little bit here on the straight line pace on lap 26, and Zhou Guanyu's going to lunge one up the inside there. He's going to take P15, so I knew we were going to probably give up another position or two before this GP was over, just based off the actual pace of this Trackhouse racing car, but we actually held our own here in P16 here on lap 27. Now Tsunoda trying to put a little bit of pressure on me, and he's actually going to have the door open up right there because it's out of a bit of a moment, and Tsunoda's going to try and lunge one really late up the inside. I took the corner like normal because I said if you're sending one at that point, if we go down together like the chain smoker said, buddy. So we continue on here to lap 30, coming up on 5 laps to go, and I was surprised we were actually able to hold on to the tail end of this line in front of us here with Zhou Guanyu, Kevin Magnussen, etc. Here you can still see a little bit throttle happy I was, but what a beautiful day this turned into here in Hungary. Now the sun's come out, and it's blue skies. It's absolutely fantastic here. Yellow flag, so with 3 laps to go, it's the Williams of Albon who's had an engine failure. He's going to be out of the GP. We move up now into P15, so what a rebound day we're having here in Hungary. We come through to the final lap of the Hungarian GP, and I don't even know how to describe this day. It was just so much better than my expectations, because when I saw it was a downpour, I thought we were going to be unbelievably far up the pace, and we showed competitive pace in the wet conditions, in the intermediate conditions, and now we've shown decent pace as well here in the dry conditions as well, holding on to the tail end of this group here now. But it's Charles Leclerc who's dominated this race from start to finish, and he is going to come through out of the final turn to go back to back with a win in the French GP. He will now win the Hungarian GP here, as Max Verstappen's going to come up just short of a 2nd place finish there for him, and Perez is going to hold off Hamilton for 3rd, and how about Ocon and Alonso up there in 5th and 6th place. Now for myself, you know, not the best finishing position position in the world, but 15th felt fantastic here today as we're going to come through the final turn behind Zhou Guanyu, and just impressed that I was able to hold on to the back part of this line here. But we come through to cross the line for P15 as the time penalty actually I think has moved us up potentially into 14th place. We'll have to wait and see. Yes, it has. Pierre Gasly has got a time penalty. We'll have to see what that was about in the race director after the post-race celebrations as well. For the second time, actually, we will win Driver of the Day.
And it's a performance to be proud of from our Hungarian Grand Prix winners. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I really feel the track layout, combined with the track temperatures we saw today, suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. It just looks so comfortable up there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
Here come our winners now, a thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari.
There you see our podium celebrations there on the screen, with Leclerc on the top step and Verstappen and his Red Bull teammate of Sergio Perez joining him as well. What a GP here in Hungary. I didn't know how this was going to go in F1 2021. Usually GPs in Hungary aren't very exciting. I always took it off the schedule when I could here, especially in my final 2 seasons I did there. But this was actually a fun race, and like I said, the most fun I've driven, I think, so far, honestly, on this game. It was a blast, and once you got into the rhythm here and were able to get your marks down with the braking zones, it's a really fun circuit to drive with this F122 car and handling model in wet conditions as well as dry conditions. Here you see the finishing order on your screen, but the big question is what happened to Pierre Gasly? He had a 5-second time penalty, which moved us up into 14th place and actually moves Gasly behind his teammate of Yuki Tsunoda. Piastri unfortunately ends up in P18 there, as we have Vettel and Sainz with the retirements. But let's take a look here at the race director and see exactly what happened to Gasly. And it's actually, he got a 5-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags, and he actually got it awarded to him at the end of the session because he never served the actual penalty for like a stop and go there. So I'm assuming it came out sometime during the safety car period, right around that section, if I had to guess there, based off of the fact that he didn't pit and serve it. But you can see the point standings there. Leclerc increases his gap once again, and Ferrari is 114 points ahead of Red Bull. But now we have made it already to the summer break here of Formula One. Now we don't get a summer break ourselves. We're going to be back hopefully tomorrow with another episode here to kick off the final stretch of the season, which is crazy to think already that we're into like the final 8 or 9 GPs of this debut season here in this F1 2022 My Team career mode. It's been a blast so far. You do see actually making an upgrade right here, trying to be able to increase the racecraft of our teammate of Piastri and whatnot, and a couple other things there, and as well trying to use some more resource points to get a couple more of parts being developed here going into the end of the summer break. So we'll have to wait and see. Make sure to vote on that straw poll about the whole V8 engine thing, if you guys want to see V8 engines or not going into this next season of this My Team career mode. It's crazy that we're already developing everything for this second season, but like I said, let me know. Vote on the straw poll. The link is at the very top of the description. It should be the very first thing that you actually see, so make sure to do that. As you can see, going into the Belgian GP as well as the Netherlands coming up as well. A couple of tracks that I don't know how we're going to fare at, but we'll have to wait and see and find out the hard way. If you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. Thank you all for taking the time out of your day for watching this episode. I appreciate it so much, and that does it for me. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day, everybody.